everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In my previous video, I have talked about sonnet and its types. Today, I'm going to talk about elegy. So, let's start. First of all, as I have told you that elegy is a subjective form of poem. Okay, why it is subjective form of poem? Because in elegy, poet expresses his feeling in a direct way. Okay, so it is a subjective form of poem. Next, the word elegy is derived from the word elegus, which means song of mourning or song of lament. Okay, which basically means song of mourning or song of lament. So it is what? It is a Greek word. It is what? It is a Greek word. Now, if it is asked what is elegy, then a very simple definition of elegy is that elegy is a type of poem which is composed on the death of someone or the loss of anything. Okay, it is composed on the death of someone or the loss of anything. Means if anyone who is very near and dear to the poet, and then he composed the poem in his memory, or he laments in the poem, or he cry in the poem, or he expresses his agony, his grief, his sadness, then that is called elegy. Okay. Traditionally, there are three stages of lament or loss. First of all, in the first stage, poet always expresses his grief. Okay, in the very first stage, what will poet do? Poet will express his grief on the loss. While in the second stage, what happens? In the second stage, poet will always praises the dead person, that person was very good, he was very near and dear to him, and basically he will express the positive sides of that dead person. Okay, and in the third stage, what happened in the third stage? Poet consoles himself. Okay, poet consoles himself means he consoles himself by saying that okay, whatever happened, it is the will of God, and it was the will of God, and so much more. Okay, so basically he will console himself that whatever has happened, it was for the good sake. Okay, so these are three stages of elegy. Okay, now let's have a look on the characteristics of elegy. First of all, it is a poem of lament which mourns on the death of a person. Mourn means क्या होता है? विलाप करना, रोना, cry करना. So in Hindi, elegy means शोक गीत. Okay, so in elegy, basically poet will do what? Poet will mourns on the death of a person who is very near and dear to him. Second point is that it is not only written on the death of someone but also the loss of anything or any object. Like it can be the loss of faith, it can be the loss of humanity, it can be lost or degradation of religion. Okay, and so much more. Basically, not only poet laments on the death of someone, but he will also laments on the loss of anything. It can be any object also. Okay. So next point is that what will be the tone of the poet? The tone of the poet will be sad, agony, dignified and solemn. ठीक है? Means If poet is expressing if poet is expressing his grief on the death of someone, then ultimately the tone will be sad, dignified, and solemn. Next characteristics of elegy is that it is a kind of lyric which centers on expression of sentiments, beliefs, or opinions. Okay, it is a kind of lyric which centers upon the expression of sentiments. Means poet will express his sentiments, his belief on the person, his opinion about the person. Okay, so in elegy, poet will express his sentiments, his belief, and his opinion about the person. Next, an elegy may search answer to questions related to the nature of life and death of the body or immortality of the soul. Okay, an elegy may search answer to questions means in elegy poet will try to find out the answers related to life and death and about the immortality of the soul, about the immortality of the soul. The poet will try to find out the answer of these questions related to life and death of the body and the immortality of the soul. Okay, so these are few basic characteristics of elegy. The form of elegy we see today were introduced in the 16th century. Okay, the types of elegies which we are studying today, it was emerged in 16th century. But before 16th century, elegies were also composed. We will talk about it in types of elegy that from where it originate. But remember that the form of elegy we see today, it were introduced in the 16th century. Okay, and the types of elegies which we are studying today, its examples are elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray, one of the very famous example of elegy. Next we are going to talk about types of elegies. Okay, first, we will talk about pastoral elegy, and second, we will talk about dirge. What is pastoral elegy? As the word indicate, the word pastor means what? The word pastor means shepherd. Okay, what is shepherd? Shepherd basically denotes the village people or rustic people. Means in pastoral elegy poet present himself, how he will present himself as a shepherd, means he will present himself as a rustic pupil, and he laments on the death of the fellow shepherd or shepherdess. Okay, so poet will present himself as a shepherd, means he will present himself as a rustic pupil and he will mourns or lament on the death of a fellow villagers or rustic people. Okay, so basically poet mourns on the death of a fellow shepherd and shepherd. Okay, basically remember that the word pastor has came from where? The word pastor has came from a Latin word pastor. Okay, the word pastor, it derived from the Latin word. Okay, this word is a Latin word and which basically means what? Which means shepherd. Okay, the word pastor is a Latin word and it means shepherd. So what happened in pastoral elegy? In pastoral elegy poet present himself as a shepherd. What do you mean by shepherd? Shepherd indicates the village peoples or the rustic people. Okay, Miss Poet present himself as a rustic pupil, and what he will do in the poem, he will mourn. Miss Poet will mourn on the death of a fellow shepherd or shepherdess. Okay, he will present himself as a village pupil or rustic pupil, and he will mourns or laments on the death of a fellow rustic people or fellow shepherd or shepherdess. So basically, pastoral elegy indicates that in pastoral elegy, poet present himself as a shepherd and he laments or mourns on the death of a fellow shepherd. Greek poet Virgil and Theocritus are very famous for writing pastoral elegy. Okay, they in Greek they were famous writer for writing pastoral elegy. Next we have dirge. Okay, next we have what? Types of elegy is dirge. What is dirge? Dirge is basically the shortest form of elegy. Okay, in it, poet also laments, poet also cries, poet also mourns on the death of someone or the loss of anything. But the difference is that it is the shortest form of elegy. That's it. Okay. So we have talked about two types, pastoral elegy and dirge. Apart from there are so many types, monody, threnody, but those are not much important. These two are important types of elegies. Next, look at few examples of elegies. First, elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. Okay, it is a very one of the very famous elegies of of English literature. It is one of the very famous elegies of English literature. It was written by Thomas Gray, and in it, poet laments on the death of common people. Okay, poets lament on the death of common people. Second example is that In Memoriam by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Second example is In Memoriam by Alfred Lord Tennyson, one of the very famous poet of Victorian age. Basically, this poem was written by Tennyson in the memory of his dear friend. What was the name of his friend? The name of his friend was Arthur Henry Hallam. Okay, what was the name of his friend? Arthur Henry Hallam. Arthur Arthur Henry Hallam. Okay, basically, this poem was written in the memory of his beloved friend Arthur Henry Hallam. Okay, so next example is sorry for the typing error here. The right title of the poem is In the Memory of W.B. Yeats. In memory of W.B. Yeats. Okay, so instead of writing on the death of W.B. Yeats, the right title is In the Memory of W.B. Yeats, written by W.H. Auden. Okay, so this poem was written in the memory of W.B. Yeats. Basically, in this poem, W.H. Auden mourns on the death of W.B. Yeats, who was very famous poet of modern age. Okay, so next we have Adonis, which was written by P.B. Shelley. Okay, and it was written to mourn on the death of John Keats. Okay, John Keats, who was very famous poet of Romantic age. So Adonis was written by P.B. Shelley, and in this poem, Shelley mourns on the death of John Keats. Next example is Thyrsis by Matthew Arnold. Okay, next example is Thyrsis by Matthew Arnold. It was written in the memory or it was written to lament on the death of his dear friend A. H. Clough. Okay, A. H. Clough. Clough. A. H. Clough, who was one of the very near and dear friend of Matthew Arnold. Okay, so it was written in the memory of A. H. Clough. Next example is Rugby Chapel. Okay, next example is Rugby Chapel. It was written to mourn on the death of his father. It was written by Matthew. It was written by Matthew Arnold, and in it, Arnold mourns on the death of his father. Okay, it was written in to lament the death of his father. Next, we have Lycidas. Next example is Lycidas. It was written by John Milton. Okay, and it was written to mourn or laments on the death of King Edward. King Edward. Okay, so in this poem, John Milton mourns on the death of King Edward. So these are few basic examples of elegies. Apart from that, there are so many famous elegies written by famous writers. So that's it for today. Always remember that elegy is a type of poem which is composed on the death of someone or the loss of anything. I hope I have made the things clear. We will talk about lyric in my next video. Till then, please like my video and subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching.